Hello and Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
So nice to see you all on this nice Shabbat morning. See, there you go. Nice. It's good. No, it's good. I appreciate it. You're still the only one. Still. Yeah, it is. It's true. It's nice and humid. Me too. And we thank you for it. So everyone's thankful. Hope you're having a nice Shabbat so far. We are going to dive right in with Modeh Ani 170.
Modeh Ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechezarta binishmati bechemla Bechemla Rabba emunatecha Modeh ani lefanecha Melech chai v'kayam Shechezarta Binishmati Bechemla Rabba emunate Rabba emunatecha.
Now that we have, thank God for returning our souls to our bodies after sleep and rest, and now back together once again, we continue Psukei de Zimra 183.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan nasach v'bina lehavchin ben yom u'ben layla.
Psukei de Zimra 183.
Fine.
But we could do Nisim B'chol Yom also if you wanted to.
Forget those blessings.
I mean, I was looking at it too, and I was like, "Is this a new section?"
What? I went into automatic pilot. Leave me alone.
183.
183.
183.
Fine.
Psukei de Zimra.
Fine.
Psukei de Zimra.
Fine. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam.
Baruch Hu.
Oh, nice. Okay. Baruch Osev Reshit.
Baruch Omer Ve'oseh.
Baruch Ozerum Kayim.
Baruch Merachem al haaretz.
Baruch Merachem al habriyot.
Baruch Meshalem Chacha Tov Lireav.
Baruch Chaylad v'Kayam Lanetzach.
Baruch Podeh Matzul V'Ruch Shemo.
Blessed is the one who spoke and the world came to be.
Blessed is the one.
Blessed is the one who continually authors creation.
Blessed is the one whose word is deep.
Blessed is the one who decrees and fulfills.
Blessed is the one who is compassionate towards the world.
Blessed is the one who is compassionate towards all creatures.
Blessed is the one.
Blessed is the one who exists for all time, ever enduring. Baruch atah Adonai, melech behula batishbachot.
193. Yishtabach.
Baruch atah Adonai. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So Robin's really laughing. Everyone else is just kind of laughing.
Is she laughing at you or with you?
Probably at me.
All right.
Yishtabach shimcha la'ad malkeinu ha'el ha'melech ha'gadol ve'ha'kadosh b'shamayim u'ba'aretz baruch atah Adonai el melech gadol batishbachot el ha'hodaot adon ha'niflaot ha'bocher b'shirei zimra melech elchei ha'olamim Yitzkadal ve'yitzkata shemei rabba Belma divrach chirute ve'yamlich malchute Bechayechon u'vyomechon Uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael Bagala Uvizman kariv Ve'imeru Amen Yehi shmei rabba mevorach לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה, מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה, ואמרו Amen.
And we stand and continue with Baruch Hu 195.
Laila, 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. HaMevorach. HaMevorach לעולם ועד.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, יוצר אור וחושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. Please be seated. We continue in 199. We give thanks for the sages and teachers who bring us understanding of your will. Gratefully we recall the lawgivers and prophets, the psalmists and sages of Israel, and joyfully we remember that from the dawn of Israel's life, we would turn to you and find purpose. We continue Shema, page 200.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
202.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בטיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Our Song of Redemption can be found on page 204. Michamocha.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, Nora tehilot osefele, Nora tehilot osefele. Shira chadasha, shibchu gehulim, Leshimcha al sefatayam, Yachad kulam, hodu ve'imlichu ve'amru. Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Tzur Yisrael, kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, Uvdei chimecha, Yehuda ve'Yisrael, Go aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo, Kiddush Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Adonai sifatai tiftachu fia gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Ha'ibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Koneh HaKol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevii Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah Rav leHoshia, Morid HaTal, Mechapkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit, Umechaye, Umahatzmiach Yeshua, Veneman Atale HaChayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol.
Continue with the Kedusha 208.
Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, kishem shem makdishim oto b'shmei marom, kakatuv ayad neviecha, v'kara ze el ze ve'amar, kadosh, 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 Adonai tzvaot, Melech kol haaretz, kivodo. Adir adirenu Adonai, Adoneinu mahadir shimcha b'kol haaretz. Baruch kivod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu vehu Yashmienu, Berachamav le'inei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam. Hayich Zion ledor vador, Hallelujah, ledor vador, ledor vador, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We continue silently now, beginning here on page 210 through page 219. When you're finished, please be seated.
On page 358 in your prayer books, you'll find this beautiful psalm, Achat Shalti, which is traditionally sung or said every day throughout the month of Elul to prepare ourselves for introspection and reflection for the upcoming holidays. 358. Achat Shalti me'ed Adonai ota vakesh. Achat Shalti me'ed Adonai ota vakesh. Shivti beveit Adonai kol yamei chaya lachaso benoam Adonai olivake b'nei chalo lachaso benoam Adonai olivake b'nei chalo.
Thanks, Robin. That was really, really nice. We continue with Seder Kriyat Torah, which can be found on page 244.
Baruch atah.
Hasn't gotten old yet, actually. It's not yet old.
Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai v'kema'asecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'ador Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai imloch le'olam ha'ed Adonai oz le'amo yitein Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom Av harachamim heitiv avitzoncha et Zion Timnei chomot Yerushalayim ki mecha tachnu melech el ram benisa adon olamim
246.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai miYerushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai iti, Neramema Shemo Yachdav.
Anyone want to do the Aliyah for us on this Shabbat morning? Anyone feel like they want to do the Aliyah for us this morning? All right. Thanks. What's your Hebrew name? Oh, you're going to have to tell me that. Ta'amud, Rivka Leah Bat Tzvi Vechana L'Aliyah Torah. Do you need the thing? Yeah. You should be okay, I feel.
Baruch Adonai le'olam v'yolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Ki tetzeh lemilchama olevecha untano Adonai Elohecha biyadecha v'shivita shivyo v'ra'ita b'shivya eshet yefa toar v'chashakta hava v'lakachta lecha leisha v'hevita el toch beitecha v'gilcha et rosha v'asta et tzipirneha v'hesira et simlat shivya me'aleha v'yashva b'beitecha uvachta et aviha ve'et ima yerach yamim ואחר כן תבוא אליך ובלתה והייתה לך לאישה והיה אם לא חפצת בה ושילחת לנפשה ומכור למקור לא תמכרנה בכסף, לא תתעמר בתחת אשר ענידה.
Cantor says she forgot to tell everybody where we were chanting from. You're going to need to do it again while they find the place.
Actually, I didn't forget.
So why didn't you say it? Why didn't you say what page you were on? Everyone likes to know what page you're on.
We all have our specific roles here this morning, don't we?
We're in the book of Bereshit. We started the Torah. We didn't tell anyone. We started the Torah.
Baruch atah.
That's true. We're in Kitetze. We're in Kitetze, and if Cantor wants to chant it again, now you can do it again. Kitetze. I don't know what page it's on. Yeah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
That's what you get for throwing me under the bus.
Amen. Yes, shkoach. We'll have the cantor stay up there, so that what we'll do is we'll actually raise and dress now, and then that'll be set. Whoa. Are you really upset about this? It seems like you're really upset about this, Cantor Mushnik. I'm sorry we didn't do the page number before. People weren't able to follow along. And here you go. It's an interesting morning you're having today, Cantor. We're going to raise and dress the Torah 252. Please stand. Vezot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael v'yad Moshe. You're trying to outdo yourself from the last time? But you're trying to like... Please be seated. All right, we are, surprise, in the Torah portion of Kitetze. If you didn't know that. Wish the cantor would have mentioned something before I started to chant, but... Or it'd be nice, by the way, if Rabbi Kahn would have reminded Cantor to do it, but...
or anyone here.
None of that happened.
How about anyone?
So I hear you whisper the page number every time, by the way, to everyone. So, yeah. So if you are not already, we're in Kitetze, and it's 21:10. No, it's chapter 21:10 in the Torah itself. So in the Torah itself, it is the actual Torah, it is Deuteronomy, it is 21:10, like for real. It says it in your Torah. Yeah, it says it, yeah, exactly. Or in the Tanakh. I don't have a Chumash, I have a Tanakh. So 21:10 is where we are for reals. So we're gonna glance at this briefly, and then we're gonna jump. So we're gonna do a little bit of jumping this morning. Ooh, you gave her your microphone. That's fun. That's fun. Nice. All right. Let's do our blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Okay, let's begin, please.
When you, an Israelite warrior, take the field against your enemies, and the Eternal, your God, delivers them into your power, and you take some of them captive.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to start with today. All right, great. So, please put on your Rashi detective commentary questioning hats to kick things off. Yeah, oh man, I thought you were going to pull out a little sailor's hat, and tell me and tell me, Woo. And tell me what's interesting about verse 10? What's interesting about the structure and the flow of verse 10? It's not easy. Okay, you're actually part way. Yes, the answer is yes. Nice, good. It's part way. Yes.
Well, I was thinking that the word when.
Yes.
It doesn't say if.
Okay,
So
nice.
like it's a done deal. It's going to happen when.
Nice. Okay, so great. So it says when you take the field, not right. Good. Which means what? By the way, what does when mean in terms of time context? When in the future. In the future. Okay, good. So, yeah. No, I want you. Yeah, we're talking about the same thing. Yeah. Beautiful. All right. So don't forget, this is still Moses talking. I'm going to remind us, it's a 37-day-long speech to Moses. So it's still Moses talking, right? So Moses, right, probably God and Moses, right, to collectively somewhere, if you believe that. It's cool, right? That there is this like natural comfort knowing that God's hand is in this, and so you will be able to triumph hypothetically. Yes.
In the military school, we're training tanks, and on the inside of the tank, it has the posture of what you're doing as you enter the tank. That's what I see.
Oh, that's nice. So like a sort of like a interesting. Which part is a given truth? Everything, the whole verse, or just a section? Uh-huh. Oh, I got it. So when you take the field, when you enter the tank, when you do this motion, I got it. Okay, nice, very nice. Yeah. Right, you take, and you take some of them captive, because later on, text will tell us who you really should take captive and who you shouldn't take captive, until we get to later in the text, by the way, and then God says to, in some instances, take everyone captive and kill everyone, but that's a whole other time for us to read at some other time, not in this Torah portion. So there's all and some. Okay, tell me, when you take the field against your enemy, is at what part of the war? In the beginning, right? It's so, right? So, but it's sort of at the beginning of it, right? I mean, it's sort of right when you take the field, and then in the same verse it says, and then God delivers them into your hands. So what's that part of the war? The end. Duh. It's sort of like a given, and you really, the Torah portion is done. You don't have to read any further, because it just kind of tells you everything is in the one little span. Have you read that in very interesting thing? Sometimes read it at a funeral called The Dash. Have you read The Dash before? Right. So it's a very popular poem or reading, you can say, because it talks about the dash, because your whole life is a dash, because it says you're born, and then there's a dash, and then the year of your death, and it's an interesting thing that the dash is like your whole existence is the dash. So it's the concept, right, that maybe the dash is in the middle here, because you got the beginning and the end, and you're done. Yeah. Okay. But then there's an end, right? So at some point though, and then in the reflection though, you can say there was a middle, because there was a beginning and an end. So because of that, there has to be a middle. You're required to have a middle, right? That's not the way you were trained. Oh, okay, all right, that's fair. I was never in a tank, so have I? Yeah, I've been in a tank, but it was only like to go in and like look around and jump out of it. So getting out of a tank is very difficult, by the way. So it's good they have a little step there. It's very hard to get out of the tank. So, all right. So it's interesting that the Torah portion begins and ends for us all in one verse, and it really sums up this idea of ki tetzeh, which means what? What does ki tetzeh mean? What does just the word ki tetzeh mean? When you go out. So it sets for us this idea of really when you go out, what are the rules of engagement that you are supposed to abide by, essentially, right? Because when you go out, because when you're in, you're fine. But when you go out, everything changes, like the terrain, the people, the situation, everything's going to change. And so because of that, God is giving us a set of rules to follow, to engage within this realm. And it starts, interestingly enough, with war, and then interestingly enough, in the weird verse of the structure, begins and ends for us in one shot. So it's a very interesting beginning and ending, right in one moment for us. And then it goes on, because then about captives and about a bunch of other stuff that goes on in this section. But yes.
I'm a little, I don't want to say offended, but it bothers me that you can take a woman captive, and if you desire her, you take her to be your wife, you take her to be your wife.
Yeah, it's clearly an uncomfortable piece of text to read. Again, don't wear the 2022 hat. This is a different sort of world, and women were property, and you could take them as property like you would any other property that you took if you won a war, whether it was the livestock or if it was whatever else that you won. The spoils were the women also. Right. It also does say among the captives a beautiful woman. Although you can pick someone not beautiful. It's just in this situation it says, I guess, beautiful for you. Although it doesn't say beautiful for you, it just is beautiful. Makes it better that she's beautiful? I'm just kidding. No. You can, yeah. And you have to take care of her. There's also a whole section here in 12 that says that you have to take care of her. If you're taking her captive, then you've made that decision to make her part of your property, and because she's part of your property, you can't just discard her. So you have to take care of her also. Again, the language that I'm using is also uncomfortable for me because we're referring to her as a piece of property. But what's that? Chattel, yeah. I mean, it's just a biblical version of it. So okay. So I just want us to get a sense of how this Torah portion is going to function in its structure, because it has this like when you go out mentality. These are the rules of engagement that you have to function by according to ki tetzeh, when you go out. What's interesting, by the way, because next week is going to be ki tavo, which is when you enter. So it's interesting, and then also the commentaries also say which one should have come first. Should have ki tavo come before ki tetzeh? Because next week is when you enter. So shouldn't have when you enter been first, and then when you go out been second. But the Torah portion don't go that way. Ki tetzeh is first, and ki tavo is next week. So, yes. There's also ki tisa, which is not connected here at all. But yes, but it is indeed. Yeah, there's also one. Yeah, exactly. Yes. All right. So I just wanted us to see that, but now I want us to jump. So now we're going to chapter 22. You can't be that far. You should be pretty close. Yeah, it should be on the same page-ish. Yes? So chapter 22, verse 1, please, if you don't mind, to jump in.
If you see your fellow Israelites' ox or sheep gone astray, do not ignore it. You must take it back to your peer. If your fellow Israelite does not live near you, or you do not know who the owner is, you shall bring it home, and it shall remain with you until your peer claims it. Then you shall give it back. You shall do the same with that person's ass. You shall do the same with that person's garment, and so too shall you do with anything that your fellow Israelite loses and you find. You must not remain indifferent.
Okay, so this is one of my favorite sections of the Torah, are these three verses. So let's break it down. What is chapter 22, 1, 2, and 3 talking about? Okay, lost and found. Excellent. So it talks about lost and found. And then what else? What other levels are in this lost and found? Nice. Excellent. Robin said it goes on to talk about like not just the lost and found, but the way that you treat it and respect it when it is found. That you don't, right? So, by the way, how many people have been to a lost and found bin or gone to somewhere where it says lost and found? How do those items look? Awful, right? They look awful. It is a discarded bin that you just throw whatever's in there, and most of the time, if you want to go into the lost and found bin, people are like, if you'd like to, have at it. Like, go in there and look yourself, right? And you have to be like, rah, rah, rah. Okay, so, yeah.
It's interesting that the value of a live animal comes first before a garment.
Right, which is interesting, and one would hope that that's true today, right? So I want us to apply some of these ideas to today. So if you lost your dog, let's say, then how, right? If you can't find your dog, how would you be feeling if you couldn't find your dog? Horrible. So what does one do, by the way, when you lose your dog? You put up posters, right? Right. There's a now you contact your HOA, right? Now you can post it on the internet, a lot of different places, and other social media. Look, I mentioned social media. That was for you. Yeah. So you're welcome. So yes. So so it's your fellow's ox or sheep, right? Now, if your fellow does not live near you, what are you going to do? This is like if you find the dog, and they have a collar, let's say, and there's an address on it, and let's say it's in Key West. What happens now?
You contact the owner.
You contact them. And they're like, well, you know what? I don't have a car. What do you do now? What do you do now that they say, you know, I don't have a car, and oh my God, that's my dog. That dog has been gone for a month. I can't believe that you found it. It's in Boca. Send an Uber. I'm sending a doggy Uber. What's that? Hypothetically, one could get in their car and drive to Key West and bring back their dog to them. Is it what's best for the dog? What's best for the dog? Maybe they can. Maybe they can. Maybe they live on a boat. They live on a boat and they don't have a car, and they're perfectly happy, and they live in Key West and they all live on a boat, so they can afford many bags of food, but they lost their dog. So do you drive to Key West? Oh, now, but I want you to think about that. Like, some of us are saying yes, some of us are thinking, I don't know, it's kind of a pain in the butt. Like, I got to drive to Key West, I got to pay for the gas, right? I got to deal with the dog. I probably got to stop on the way to take care of the dog, because the dog's not going to make it all the way to Key West. Neither will I, by the way. So I also have to pee. So the dog has to pee, and so do I, right? So I want you to think about this situation, not so that it's so black and white in a couple of words on a page. I want you to think about what this means, by the way, if your neighbor's animal is gone. Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't seem to me that it implies a positive obligation, that you have to go out and seek the owner.
Okay.
I'm not seeing that here. You have to give it back when the owner finds it.
Okay. So how do you define indifferent in this situation? Indifferent or not indifferent? I love your point. Where does indifferent? Does indifferent mean like, well, it's not my problem? I mean, it's not my problem. I'm not driving to Key West. It's not my problem. Is that indifferent? I don't know. But I don't know. That's what the text says. So, Cantor Muchnick, what are you going to say?
I was going to say, the way I would look at it is, if the roles were reversed, I would want that person to make the trip to get my dog back to me.
Right. Exactly. So that's the complicated part. Exactly. So that's the complicated part, because if I don't have a car and this is my dog that I thought it was dead because I haven't seen my dog in a month, and somehow it made it all the way to Boca. I don't know how that happened, right? So now I want my dog back. I would want you, And I would say, you know what, if you get up here, I'll give you something, or or whatever, or I can't give you something, right? I live on a boat, so my dog lives on the boat with me. And I don't know what happened. I docked for the day, and it ran away, and I don't know where it is. I actually can't give you anything because I live on a boat. So are you gonna, on your kindness of your heart, are you gonna decide, I want to go and drive, schlep, pay money, gas, wear my car 2 ways for this dog? Yeah.
But you're phrasing the question, and you're trying to get us to put ourselves in perspective of what the other guy says. Torah is about doing what we know is right.
Okay.
Okay? You can't just set it right. You're going to treat the animal, and you're going to treat the situation the same way you've done it.
Okay.
Whatever we want is what we know is right, is what we do.
Okay. So you're mostly right. All right, okay, fair. In your mind, you are 100% correct. You are mostly right, because I'm going to introduce you to one of my favorite words in a moment in regards to the situation. I have a favorite word, and it's not a word that I made up, it's a word that the text made up, that the Mishnah and the Talmud made up. Yes?
What I would do is, it's a long ride from here to the Key West.
It is?
I would see if I could find a friend who was positive for dogs and take them with me.
Nice.
Get a much more pleasant.
Great, you can make a thing out of it. Be like, okay, I'll bring my dog down. I'll come to you and I'll hang out. And I haven't been to Key West. And I really want a piece of key lime pie, and I haven't had a really good piece of key lime pie in a while. So I'm going to come down to Key West and have a piece of key lime pie, and then drive all the way back because I really like key lime pie and it's worth it. That's actually true for me. So, yeah. So now we got even more hands. So, yes.
I would, as you say, I would like, it'd be fun to go on the journey, bring the dog back, but then it arises, what if you kind of drive up to the guy's block, and there are 10 dogs with chains around their trees.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and you don't bring the dog back, then you bring the dog back to your house. That's
Right. But it doesn't say that there. It doesn't say that there. It just says that it's your owner's, it's someone else's object. So it doesn't necessarily say what you feel about that dog or you feel about that object. What if someone lost a gun and it has their name on it? What if someone lost a gun? Let's switch for a second. And it has their name engraved on the gun and the address. I don't know, because it's a collector's item. What's that? So I don't want to handle the gun. It found it on the ground. I don't want to handle the gun. I'm just saying, like, the scenarios will pop up further and further, and the text wants you to think about. Because, by the way, here is the long-range response: there's only 3 verses in the Torah about this. There's so much. There are tractates about this, because you know what? Every rabbi and every person asked the question that you're asking. Like, what if the person's not good? What if it's stolen? What if it's, well, how do I know if it's mine? How do I know that they lost it? How do I know that the blah, blah, blah? Maybe they meant to lose it. Maybe they don't want it back. Like, there's the Mishnah explodes, and then because the Mishnah explodes, the Talmud then explodes, and then besides the Talmud, the commentaries explode, and all this about 3 verses in the Torah, which is why our text is so cool, because this doesn't answer any of our questions, by the way. So none of the questions we're asking are answered here. This is why we need more. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3.
So in all this explosion of expansion,
Yes.
does it say anything about an obligation for the original owner to repay the person that finds it for the maintenance of their animals?
Nope. Nothing. As far as I know of, if you have an animal, and let's go back to an ox, for instance, and you have to maintain someone else's ox for 4 months because they're on a big trip, that is an extreme expense for you, right? That's an extreme expense. Now, there are nuances that talk about, hypothetically, that if you really have no other sustenance and you can't for yourself, then there are nuances, which is why it's not written here. There are complications that you could probably slaughter that ox and then provide some kind of a compensation back to that person, not that ox, but back to that person to say, look, I had to use it, but here's what the cost of the ox was the actual ox when I found it, and I'm paying it back to you. All these different variations. But no, if you have the ox for 4 months or 5 months or 6 months or whatever, you're paying that for that ox, and that's expensive. That's an expensive endeavor, because I don't hang out with oxen, but I feel like they eat a bunch of stuff. So because they're pretty large animals. I mean, I'm not an expert. I don't really know about these things. Yeah, who was 2? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Interesting, right? That's why I brought up a gun, for instance, or an axe, or a knife that had blood on it. I don't know. Like, if you find these things, what do you do with them? These things that are like, ugh. Great. By calling the police, by the way, what are you not doing? You're not being indifferent. You see? So here's what the text reminds us of. So you're not being indifferent. Call the police. That's a perfectly good response to the question. I'm not touching this thing. I don't know. I don't know what fingerprints are on it. I want blood on it. I don't like guns. There's a knife on the ground. Who knows if the knife was from someone else who got injured and it's their own blood? I don't know the story. I'm not touching it, but I'm not being indifferent and leaving a bloody knife or a gun on a sidewalk. I'm not being indifferent. So that's because the Torah says, don't be indifferent, right? Yeah, Dr. Bob. Okay. Yes. Maybe. Yes. Yeah.
What happens if the guy that found the ox uses it to plow his fields? And the guy that lost it says, hey, you owe me so many shekels because my ox plowed your field.
Oh, you mean the lost ox? You can use the ox, by the way. You can use the ox. No, you don't need to. So that they can't do, but you can use the object that you find. So if you find an ox, you can use the ox to plow your field. There are.
And the Torah only has one positive obligation, and that's on the original owner to go find it, and the other person has to maintain it.
So here is the word that I love, and it's impossible to figure out, which is the word yeush. And yeush is I believe it's a biblical term. I don't think it's a Mishnaic. I think it's a Talmudic term. Yeush is, and this is for real, it is the feeling that you're trying to think the other person is feeling now that you have found their item. It's called yeush. You have to put yourself in what they're feeling. And that is why, by the way, there's a whole conversation about if you find $1, it's yours, essentially. That's what the text says. Because the person who lost the $1 isn't crying in a corner somewhere. If you find a diamond ring, though, you can use your yeush and think to yourself, that person is at this moment devastated, like the dog, right? The dog, by the way, and that maybe looks very healthy and has the collar and looks fine and has all their teeth, so you know that dog owner is currently devastated. So you put yourself in this yeush position, and you have to figure out, and by the way, no one tells you where your yeush begins or ends. You have to you have to decide yourself. It's an impossible task. So at what level do you think they're upset? Is $10 on the floor? But it's also, how is someone going to identify $1? This is where the Mishnah goes nuts. Like, what if you find $100? Now, if you find $100, and it's, by the way, and you're by yourself on a street and there's no one else there, it's probably your $100. But if you're at like a fair somewhere, right, with a lot of other people, and you see people like walking around like this, right, then you have a choice. That's probably them who lost $100. What if it's a bunch of kids running around like, oh my God, oh, and they're like running around you and you see it floating by you, and then you think to yourself, I could score $100 here because they can't identify $100. Or do I say, is this your $100? And they're like, oh my God, thank you, right? And then you can see like the Yeush drain from them because they're like, oh, you found my lost object, because every single one of us has had that feeling when you lose something valuable and you have that drop. Even if it's in your house, you're like, what, wait, okay, I thought I lost it. Like everyone, and so that feeling that you felt, the rabbis wanted you to feel every time. Put yourself in that situation for someone else, that stomach drop where you're like, no, oh, okay, I found it. Or you call a restaurant and you're like, did I leave my thing at the restaurant? And when they say, we have it right here for you, and you're like, oh, you have it right here for me. I'm coming right over, right? It's just like that feeling is just because lost objects really mess with us. Things, objects, dogs, cats, anything like that. Yes?
Several years ago, we had a scholar that this was the topic. Really well, so I read the commentary afterwards. But before I say it, everybody's comments are really interesting on this section. So when I say that, I kind of relate to what he's saying. But here was the thing that kind of crystallized what we're talking about. And it goes into the contract responsibility. And it talks about the standard of care. Whether you think about the other person or yourself, or there's a standard of care that properly, standard of care for human emotions. And that was what came out of the scholar. We as a community, total, have a standard of care which is deemed to be appropriate, right, just, comfortable, for everyone in the workplace. And that's what we're talking about here, is that standard.
Beautiful. Even more beautiful was the other word you used in there, which was the C word, which is community. Because ultimately, why is this in here? Why is this in here? It's setting a standard for your community to know that, you know what? If I lost something, I have faith in you to know that you'd probably help me find it, or that you would be on the lookout. Or if I emailed you or called all of you and said, I lost my blank, can we go look for it? Or will you be on the lookout for it? My community would say, yeah.
I'll phrase this with you. I'll play rabbi.
Please.
Okay, just for a moment, that's all I can.
Great. I love it.
This was the question that the scholar read as one of the book conversations. I'll let anybody answer if they want, because I answered it wrong. They said it's a child, and they find a bag of gold. And it's on the road going into the village. This child has a bag of gold and brings it home to his family. What is the child's obligation, and who has the right to that gold?
Yeah, it's not them. It's not their gold. It's not their, it's,
Two-part question, so that's why it's not his goal. Who has a standard of care to take care of it?
oh, to take care of it? That family has a standard to take care of it. The finder has a standard to take care of it. But then what you do with it is different, because, right, that's if you find the diamond ring. I would report it, right? I would call the police. I mean, I would probably deliver it to the police department. I don't know what else I would do with it. Or a bag of gold, I would say, I would identify it. Right. Right. So I don't know the answer. I do know that Baba Metzia, which is this large tractate in the Talmud, goes on to talk about how certain items are found also helps you with your access point. So you said bag of gold. So because you said bag of gold to me, it makes me think someone can identify a bag of gold. If there were pieces of gold strewn all over the ground, I would say that's less that's more identifiable, I mean, it's less identifiable, and therefore I get to really take some gold if I want to. But if it's a bag of gold for me, it's much more complicated, because that means someone can be like, that's my bag of gold, it's brown, it has an initial on it, there's a tear on the left side that I've sewn once when I was a kid, and now I can be like, all right, this is your bag of gold. So that's what Baba Metzia goes into, is how you also find the object also helps to describe whether you get to keep it or you don't get to keep it. So I don't know the answer to that exact situation, but on whose gold it is, you're saying at the end? You could do the ultra orthodox joke that you take the gold, the thing, you make a circle on the ground with a piece of chalk. You throw the gold up in the air, and whatever God wants, God keeps. Whatever falls back down to the ground that's not in the circle is mine. You could do that. That's it. I like to throw, God, you want this money, and whatever God wants, God will keep, and whatever falls back down. That's not a Baba Metzia. That is not a Baba Metzia. No, that is not a Baba Metzia. I don't know the answer. I do know that Baba Metzia creates more and more and more difficulty in explaining. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, that makes sense. And then he can decide whether they keep it or don't. That's the moral fabric of the family then, right? Because it's about keeping it or not keeping it. Nice. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Yes.
I lost a watch.
Yeah.
It was like my favorite watch. Wore almost every day, and one morning it wasn't there. And I looked all over, and I have had to force myself to come to the conclusion that I'm not going to find it.
Yeah. Right. That's so. But that period of time. And no one knows how long your Yeush is also, because you might be thinking of this lost object for 15 years, but no one knows. No one knows, and so we have to also decide as the finder, right? The finders, keepers, losers, blah blah blah. Doesn't work for Jews. That doesn't work, because if we're finding something, particularly if it's an object that we can presume someone really is missing, then it's our obligation to really try and hold on to it, or reach out to them, or do something with it. So it's a lot more complicated. Yeah, who's on? Gail.
Yes, you had said before when no one's looking. I think that's an important component of this, to do the right thing even when nobody's around.
Yeah, that's true. That's hard to do when no one's around. It's also, again, it gets complicated for what object it is and what level and what level you're at, right? The rabbis go in to be like the difference between stacked money and strewn money, right? So stacks of money means that's probably maybe fell off a truck or out of a trunk or out of a car. That's much more complicated, at least it would be for me, to like pocket a stack of money that's wrapped up in that's wrapped up in one of those little, like the paper or the whatever, those little sleeves, right? Because I feel like that's like, it's coming from somewhere, right? But if it's $200 on the ground, it gets a little more complicated for me. Probably me, because of my conscience, is I would probably just give it to Stakat, but I couldn't even like keep it. It would burn a hole in my pocket. But that's just because I'm nuts. But I'd probably take $1. I probably wouldn't even take $1 either. I'd probably donate it. I couldn't even keep the $1. I don't think so. I just So unless you take the $1 and then you give it to me, which is fine. So let's do that from now on. If you find several $100s on the floor and you take it, then give it to me, and then I'll feel more comfortable keeping it, as opposed to, let's do this. I like that plan. That's right. Let's going to rewrite that in a section right here. Yeah.
Very curious about this phrase you came up
Yeah, I didn't make it up. Yeah. 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 Different. Oh yeah, an incident that you find. Yes. By the way, that's probably why the tractate of the Talmud is called that, because of Mitzvah, like something you find or an incident. Yeah, that's why it's called Baba Mitzvah. So I didn't make it up. I promise. It's way too good for me to have made it up. It's the name of the tractate. There are a few of them. Yeah. Yeah.
I have two thoughts.
All right, good. Because we only have 3 minutes.
One is, this is the original lesson from God on empathy.
Okay.
The term you say.
Yeah.
Ush.
Yeah. Yeush.
Ush.
Yeush.
To me, it is empathy. And I've been doing a little research about it lately, and, there are college courses now, and schools all over the country have curricula in elementary school on teaching empathy, how to feel and be in another person's place.
Yeah.
And Langone School of Medicine, NYU, they have a course, the Empathy Project, and it's been in place for years. So it's gotten to a point where we have to teach empathy now.
Yeah.
And this is so mind-stretching, this whole conversation.
Yeah.
And the other thought is there room in the commentary that says, oh my God, what a blessing. I've been blessed by finding this. And I can use it for good. Because I think some people might be torn with, maybe I did something good and this is a blessing that it came to me, and maybe I need it more than the person who lost it. Or all those other reasons that the other person abused the property and then lost it and whatever.
I think it's a beautiful concept. I think it falls in the category of, do you think someone else is looking for it? That's the thing, right? I mean, again, if it's $500, then you maybe, and it's the wind is blowing and it rolls up in front of your house and there are $500 there, then you think to yourself, I guess I got $500, which is pretty great, because you really can't. Someone can't be like, that's my $100 bill, really? Well, okay, if you give me the serial number, I'm happy to give you back your $100 bill, right? So, which is an impossibility. So, but if someone's looking for it, then I think it becomes more and more complicated according to this piece of text, because of that feeling that we've also felt, that lost feeling, that we would want someone to come and knock on our door and be like, did you find it? Yes? Thank you. Great. So, yes. You got the last comment on this. Which they're about to have one. Yeah. Dylan's about to have one. Yeah.
What do you tell them in this? I mean, some of this is, R-rated. I mean, how do you?
Oh, I'm not going to tell her any of this. I'm going to tell her something else today. I'm going to tell her something else. By the way, we did not have, by the way, this Torah portion needs about 4 hours of study, because each sentence is just like, what's one of my favorite Torah portions. So what am I going to tell her about this week's Torah portion? Probably about when she goes out into the world, what she should do, probably, in rules of engagement. Probably don't remain indifferent, probably, but and she's going to, yeah. Yeah. Come to the closer. Yeah, come, and you'll see it. Thank you. So we are going to try something new today, and that is we are going to, if you're on the live stream, so hi live stream people, we're turning off the live stream. However, if you want to still join us for the service, come onto the Zoom. So hi live stream people, if you're listening or watching, we're turning off the live stream in about a minute, and then you can still join us though on the Zoom. And we're going to try something different also, because Rabbi Khan is here and Robin's here, and so the two of us are going to actually go to the bat mitzvah, but we don't have to rush the end of the service, and you can do Mishaberach and do all the concluding stuff. So we're going to try this. And if this works, by the way, and we're going to figure this out, maybe without holidays, we might be able to switch back to the 9 o'clocks and not do the 8:30s. So we're playing some different options. So just so you know. So again, live stream people, we're turning you off. This is going off. If you want to still join us, come on to the Zoom. It is up and running, and you will still be able to stay with us for the remaining part of the service. Last chance live stream. Okay? All right, friends. Shabbat Shalom. Sorry to kind of leave you in the middle like.
Now I get to tell you what I think about this. Okay, good. No.
Now the real look at the Torah portion. Now she's going to show you how it's really done. Yeah. All right. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom, Rabbi. Yes,
I was just going to say, with the Torah
we'll
still
put it
out
away.
in front of us and having studied, to take a minute for prayer for healing. If there's someone that you're thinking of in need of healing, and you'd like to share their name, please raise your hand.
Francine and David Freeman.
Lord David,
Gail?
Lawrence May, Gail Gibson, Stu Truman, Gerard family, Ken Tankos, Sandy Tankos, all those affected by the war in Ukraine, violence, and hate crimes.
Stephen Seltzer, Helene